Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, MF Ghost, Season 3.
Yep, MF Ghost, Season 3, Episode 4. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo, and we're both pretty dead, but we're gonna get this one done. I mentioned weather a couple days ago. It is now a couple days later here, and it's gonna be in the high 80s for the next 3 days, and then drop to like below 60 again. So I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm just losing my mind. So that's why I'm over here in t-shirt and not, my... You guys can probably see my super warm Lakers thing back there that I usually wear when it's cold now. And yeah, it's just, I'm out of control. I can't cope with it. I'm losing it. But it is what it is. But yeah. Anyway.
Meanwhile, I went from horribly sick for like a month straight right into friggin' sinus infection and alternating between can't stop sleeping and can't sleep.
It's always lovely, but somehow we find a way to get stuff done. It's amazing, but sometimes it's just like we feel good enough to do anything. We got it. We got like an hour of feeling okay. Let's just do it, and that's where we're at. So as for Kaneda, speaking of things that aren't looking good, his tires are running out.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the problem here from everything we talked about last time. So he'll probably drop back to third or fourth, and he'll have caught Beckenbauer's attention after they totally kiss on the track, not like in the Naruto Sasuke way that was super infamous for like 20 years. So, that being said, we're going to push some buttons and get going here while we're alive. So, yeah, we'll see you guys on Patreon for the time reaction on the other side of the edit, and we'll see you guys on YouTube for the discussion and review. So, here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. The three-way battle for the top came out with Beckenbauer taking it down, unsurprisingly. He did have to try a little bit harder. He has gotten to the point where I guess we got a little bit more on him, which is good. He's like in his own head thinking that he's not on par with like the top drivers in the world, and he feels that if he ever has like an accelerated heart rate or something like that, that he can't perform at peak quality. So he sees that as a negative. Which
according to him, the only time that the human body is performing at peak is when it's in a state of absolute calm. So the fact that he feels any sort of adrenaline or emotion or anything like that while racing means he's not at peak form yet.
Right. So I don't know where he got that one. I hope we get some backstory on that, because you can make an argument for that. There's plenty of arguments for being like a state of zen and calm and stuff like that is peak human condition and stuff like that. But generally speaking, having an adrenaline rush, having like an elevated heart rate and stuff like that when you're in the heat of competition of any kind is totally normal and not really that big of a deal. You could make the super generalized argument that you could make more mistakes with like an elevated heart rate and your mind is racing and stuff like that, and you're not making the calm, cool, collected decisions. But, it's kind of just a mode you get into, and certain things, like being in a situation like that, there's only so much you can do with training and stuff like that to prevent your heart from just inherently beating faster in a situation of competition, I guess is the best way to put it. Elevated body awareness, I don't know. Stuff like that. There's only so much you can do to not be what he was talking about. So we'll just have to see where he got that from, because it's pretty obvious that he's still an elite driver. You know what I mean? And that's why he's kind of here to prove that to himself, like we talked about in the first season, like everything we got on him. But if that's what he thinks needs to happen, that's probably going to be his character development arc of, I'm having an elevated heart rate, actually having that adrenaline rush and not being in a constant state of calm is totally fine, and I can still compete like that. So we'll just have to see how much they decide to delve into Beckenbauer's character, especially since obviously he's not one of the super main cast. Obviously he's like right below the main group, you know what I mean? Obviously he's one of the main drivers, but he's not the main cast that's we're looking for Kanada's dad. That's the whole thing with this whole story.
Yeah. Well, again,
So-
the races are actually secondary as far as like the overarching story goes.
So either way, this whole sequence was totally fine. Everything was explained incredibly well. I don't really have to reiterate anything. Yes, when two cars are next to each other, they're slower. It's okay. But we had multiple first kisses in this, and they went with the literal one, which is fine, but they had the stuff on the track, so we were right partially.
I mean, generally speaking, most people don't even actually consider a peck on the cheek to be the first kiss, but yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was what it was. But yeah, everything here was handled well. I will hand wave Kaneda coming in second because of the shenanigans with these dogfights, which slows them down. I think with that being said, they probably went a little too much into like the tire wear, like dramatization. You know what I mean? Because with the information that was presented to me as a racing guy, I assumed all those things of like, Kaneda will probably like fall back. But at the end of the day, based on everything that happened here, it's not unfeasible. If you make as big of a gap as they apparently did from Akiba, who was in fourth in the Ferrari, they kind of just wrote him out of the story. Straight up. So from a racing standpoint, to me, that just means he also overexerted his vehicle in the dogfights when he was near first and in first, that he just kind of fell off the table for that reason, I guess.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could really reasonably assume, was just that he, with how long he was dogfighting with the other two, and how much more effort he was having to put into to keep up with them, that he probably just overexerted his vehicle and at this point just kind of resigned himself to fourth after he got overtaken.
Yeah, because as we saw, obviously it was not like a 1-to-1 time frame between when the three leaders crossed the finish line and when they showed him crossing the finish line. What's his name? Keisuke's disciple guy in the Subaru was like right behind Akiba on the track, what they showed, like 50, 60 feet behind him. So that's just what I'm getting out of this, is Akiba just kind of fell off the table. Okay. Not completely unfeasible. And what happened here at the end with Kaneda's treadwear and everything that they talked about, also not completely unfeasible, because there at the end, it was the situation where they showed here was the fact that they were going into that one-lane road, which is where the finish line was. So Sawatari in the worst position. And because of the dogfight, Kaneda was able to catch back up, get on Beckenbauer's ass, which forces Sawatari to have to fall back behind Kaneda, because if you don't cede the position like Kaneda did earlier in the track, you're just going to crash. Or overshoot and go into the, the other lane, which is not the racing line, so he would have been screwed and probably ended up like 10th or something. Kind of like what happened to Shun in the previous race when he overshoots that turn and has to, back up and stuff. So,
yeah, it was a case of like Kaneda screwed his tires up so much that he couldn't really fight anyone, but then Sawatari messes up here and he doesn't have to fight anyone. He just, while they're sitting there fighting each other, slowing each other down, he's just slowly gaining on them until eventually he can slip into Beckenbauer's slipstream, while Sawatari's still too focused on Beckenbauer. And then Sawatari just literally has no choice but to concede second to him, because he's taken too long to realize that Kaneda is a threat again.
Right. And keep in mind, this all happens in like under 5 seconds on the track. So, they play it up for the show, but this all happens in such a rapid amount of time that it's split-second decision-making on a track like this, and, well, that's just how it turned out. This was not as long as they made it out to be, obviously. It's the cinematography. This all happened in probably about 5 to 6 seconds on the track. So it was what it was, but it was shown off pretty well, that kind of thing. All this was totally fine. we were talking about Aiba passing Sakamoto here. In circuit racing, depending on the governing body, they probably would have frowned upon this move, because this would have been a... They might call it something different these days because they like to change the names of things, even though they mean the same freaking thing. But I'll call it this. I'll call it an unnecessary risk. Okay? And maybe like an unsafe risk or something. You know what I mean? Something that put both drivers at increased risk of crashing. Whatever. So, depending on the governing body, whatever. But based on MFG's governing body, if it wasn't possible for two cars to be in that lane, then they both would have crashed.
Yeah.
So, well, let's be real here. The R34 and the Audi here are both very wide vehicles. So if those two can go side by side into this, every car on the track could have gone side by side into this section. Not recommended,
Yeah,
obviously, but
these are like the two biggest cars on the track besides maybe freaking like Ishida's car.
yeah. So, just saying. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at what is, once again, a street course, public roads that are designed to be a one-lane road, when you're looking at it, you're going, yeah, that's a one-lane section, whatever. You will have to, if somebody's trying to pass there, we'll have to think about it, whatever. But they don't really think that people are going to pass in sections like that. But it happened. But once again, the governing body being what it is, they're going to let it go because it's very Initial D, very Project D, very street racing.
Once again, the main thing that they're looking for is creative driving.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons, that's one of the biggest issues they've had with the previous years of this, is just that so many people like Ishida have just been kind of cruising on just using their vehicle.
Yeah.
Rather than actually like exercising any sort of creative driving or really pushing them themselves.
Yeah. So that's exactly the kind of thing the governing body of MFG is looking for. So I didn't really see that as a negative, like that they were going to do anything about it.
Plus, we've also seen that, in general, they are very lenient about the rules. It's basically just, once again, don't illegally mod your car for the power to weight ratio thing, and don't literally cause another person to crash.
Yeah. That's
basically it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, that's going to be what it is. But either way, we got this little bit with Sawatari and Kaneda here. It's not surprising that Kaneda remembers who he is. In case anybody forgot, his mom had a photographic memory. So does he.
Yeah.
So any fans of Psych out there and Sean Spencer, same thing. If he just randomly saw Sawatari at any point, just randomly, he's going to remember him. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I remember you at that place and that place. Maybe he doesn't remember him by name or whatever, but if he saw him at all, even for like a second, that's how photographic memory works. That was we talked about in season 1. So I know it's been a minute, but that is part of Kaneda's character. So it's not something like random, like, how the heck does he remember that? His mother had photographic memory, so does he.
Yeah, even if he didn't necessarily know who he was specifically, just the fact that he had seen him at a previous race encounter, he'd be able to remember, oh, I've raced against you before.
Yeah. So either way, just wanted to make sure everybody remembered that Kaneda had photographic memory. Just wanted to put that back out there. I know it's been a minute. And then the actual kiss, which again, peck on the cheek. That is what it is. It's, does that really mean anything?
Especially when it's just business.
Well, yeah, it's literally just business. We got a pretty great face from Kaneda out of the whole situation when the whole reveal went off. But Yeah, there it is. That is very classic initial D shocked face right there. Y'all love bringing it back. That is like full on guys at the gas station shocked face.
Yeah, this did also pseudo confirm that apparently the family doesn't know, or at least Kanata doesn't think the family knows, which we've been kind of back and forth on whether or not they know.
We know that they know. It's not gonna go into full friends mode over here. We know that they know that she has a part-time job. I don't think that they know what it was, because she always referred to it as her part-time job.
Yeah, we never had it confirmed one way or another whether or not they know. We've had some things that have kind of implied that they know, but then we've also had things that made it seem like they didn't know, and it's just kind of gone back and forth.
So yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, we'll just leave that there. That's obviously going to be the still of the episode because I'm just a guy who loves comedy. But either way, the rest of this, what I'm kind of surprised about is the fact that we have love advice from a single guy, Ogata. I mean, just because you're single doesn't mean that you can't give advice, so that is what it is. Sawatari is apparently giving up his car. Okay, I'm interested to see what he's going to be driving next then. That should be interesting. That is something that has been established, that he'll have to get another car of this make.
It has to be the same manufacturer.
Yeah, it has to be the same manufacturer. So it'll be very interesting to see what he gets. Any myriad of cars, I can't think of what they are off the top of my head. I know it's a fairly small manufacturer. So this is probably like their sport car, like Mustang, Charger, Camaro, whatever. So they probably have something like how the guy in the Civic upgraded to the NSX, that kind of thing. It'll probably be more like the supercar, kind of like to compete with like Beckenbauer's Porsche, that kind of thing. So it'll probably be like it'll be like their supercar, which it eludes me right now. So
yeah, because ultimately that's like what the whole thing here was. Is just basically he concluded that he's hit the limit that he can do with the current vehicle, and that his vehicle is the problem with why he can't be Beckenbauer.
Right. Which, again, just because you get into a more powerful vehicle doesn't mean it's going to solve your problems. That's something we talked about in the series before. So it'll be interesting to see what vehicle he gets and whether or not it actually does help him or not, which we'll just have to see. Sometimes equipment is the limiting factor. Other times you get so used to a certain piece of equipment that jumping into something else might be a detriment. To be fair, they got 40 days off coming up. So if he gets into another vehicle, he'll probably be doing time trials or on his own time. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Getting used to the new vehicle.
I'll have plenty of opportunity to practice.
When he's not busy doing questionable things with his 17-year-old girlfriend, who is absolutely not a pure of heart angel. Yeah. This guy has lost his mind. But we already talked about that character flaw in Sawatari, but that seems to be his only character flaw, because I thought he'd be more the kind of guy who would like blow up in Kanata's face for some reason, and he did. So he's...
Well, from what we previously seen of him, he had like a massive one-sided rivalry gripe with Kanata, but that like pretty much immediately seemed to disappear the moment Kanata actually remembered him.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't remember the full story of it, but it was something like he was like the big shot, and then Kanata came in and upset on him, and then just kind of disappeared without him knowing anything. So I assume it's kind of a thing of like he just kind of, most of his issue with Kanata came from him just kind of thinking that Kanata just kind of came in, screwed him over, and then left without any second thought.
Yeah.
Which the fact that Kanata would remember him would kind of upset that whole ideal.
Right. So we'll just have to see. You guys know that stupid love triangle is coming.
Yeah.
There's no way it doesn't happen. There's no way they're going to put this much emphasis. If the author puts this much emphasis on the whole 17 thing and Ren being 17 and it doesn't happen, awesome debate. You know what I mean?
I mean, we've got a full-on parabola of mystery between Sawatari, Aiba, and friggin' Kanata.
Yeah. Now that Aiba knows Ren's first name, which now he's going to be looking through the glossary of every Ren in Japan. That's what he's going to be doing for the 40 days.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be long before it gets put together by him that, oh wait, Kanata lives with someone named Ren.
Yeah. So I assume there's going to be some pretty serious off-track clarity coming up here. That'll be what it is. But the final thing here. No Ryosuke? Are you kidding me? Are you serious right now? This was the perfect time to do this. I can't believe they've done this. I mean, from the standpoint of, I'm glad his injury isn't as serious as it was, just kind of like a bone bruise, whatever, and he'll be good. You know, he just had to be in like a wrapping for like a couple weeks, which he has 40 days off, so it's a month and a half, so he'll be good to go by the next race unless he exacerbates the injury or something. We were going in assuming this was the perfect vehicle to introduce Ryosuke because it was going to be like, you have some crazy elbow injury that needs Ryosuke to fix it so that you can race ever. Maybe not race ever again, but like kind of like the whole Deku thing of like, you can't have this happen again. You got to watch your elbow. Everything we talked about. And instead it's just, yeah, you just kind of bruised it. You know, you got to kind of just watch it for like a week or two. Come on, man.
Yeah, in retrospect, from a writing perspective, I mean, it kind of makes more sense for it to be a lesser injury, especially because, once again, the whole thing of Ren's going to assume it's her fault if it's found out that he's injured, kind of thing. And if it's a more major injury like that, then that'll become a like persistent thing of, oh well, now he always has to guard his elbow because of this, and so on and so forth.
Right. But still, there's no possible way we're going to go through this entire series seeing only the back of Ryosuke's head.
That's debatable.
There's no possible way that could happen, right? Just, you know, that is what it is. But, I mean, at the end of the day, so be it. You know what I mean? Can't really do anything about it. I'm surprised, but it's not my story. So if this is where we're going, this is where we're going. It's really not that big of a deal, but everything that we talked about, it seemed like that was the direction it was going to go, and the perfect vehicle to reintroduce Ryosuke to the series based on him being, you know, big-time doctor, surgeon, that kind of thing. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll be something else. Who knows? But I will be surprised if Ryosuke doesn't make some sort of appearance somehow. Especially since, once again, there was a Katagiri mentioned during Project D in the final season of Initial D that was like loosely affiliated with Ryosuke. It was like another one of the teams. Mm-hmm. So maybe he knows Kanada's dad. Maybe that is Kanada's dad. I don't know. But there was a Katagiri mentioned in that section of Initial D. So I don't know. Maybe that's will be where we'll get Ryosuke. It'll be like, yeah, Katagiri, I know him. He's like right over there. So, you know, maybe not that, obviously, but it's like, yeah, I know Katagiri. You know, that kind of thing. I knew him, whatever. Maybe that'll be like the final piece of the puzzle is talking to Ryosuke about it. But, yeah, again, I'm glad they did this breakdown here again. You know, not just kind of like not show anything off. Interesting that Sakamoto and Aiba were given 5th place together. Interesting.
Well, they have the same points. That's what this scoreboard is. This is the overall placement in all the races, with their different point scoring over the course of the races.
Right. Yeah, that's what that was, because this is that's why Kanada is in 3rd, not 2nd, and Akiba is in 2nd, and Sawatari's in 7th because he didn't participate in the first 2 races.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, it's I'm glad they showed off like where we're at here. after 3 races. We got 2 more to go, so we'll probably do the second or the 4th race here at the near the end of this season, and then wrap up the entire series in season 4, that kind of thing. So, and once again, I'm pretty damn sure that it was announced that MF Ghost did wrap up late last year, something like that. I'd have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure the source material is complete. So this will probably end up being a 4-season series because they're not getting 2 races and everything they need to get in 7 more episodes.
Yeah. It is also interesting that this is the top 18. So we're showing off that, once again, other racers are earning points off of doing the qualifiers and stuff like that.
Right. And then we had, the fact that there are guys that are out, you know what I mean? That's how Moriboshi got in, that's how Sawatari got in. So there are guys with points that did compete in the first couple races.
Well, that was the thing. Sawatari, he was already in from previous points. He just decided not to participate in the first 2 races because he was busy.
Yeah.
But Moriboshi got in because he earned enough points to overtake the person who was in 15th.
Yeah. So, yeah, either way, I'm glad they showed that off. The one thing that I do remember this time, I couldn't remember last time what it was that I forgot, and I couldn't find it, so it is what it is. But there was a minor mix-up, and I mentioned it during the reaction. There was the announcer, the play-by-play guy, referred to the 8.6 as a foreign car. 100% not. It is a domestic vehicle. They're in Japan. All the not every other vehicle in this is a foreign, but the majority of the rest of the vehicles in this are foreign. Obviously, Shun's Skyline is domestic, but yeah, it's just that was a little mix-up. You know what I mean? A little mix-up. The reason why they said foreign was because it was an English dub, and to somebody speaking English, a Japanese vehicle would be foreign. So that was a kind of little slip-up. In the case of this situation,
Katagiri is considered to be a foreign driver, so that's also another possibility for the mix-up.
Yeah, that's also another possibility for the mix-up. But when it comes to the vehicle itself, absolutely not domestic. And Kanada is half domestic, so bite me.
Well, once again, he's half Japanese, but he'd still generally be considered foreign because he's born and raised in England.
Yeah. But still, is what it is. But again, I'm glad they did that. I'm glad he gave himself that, walking encyclopedia nickname, because that's basically what that announcer has been the whole time. And they've done a good job with him, as we've talked about. So hopefully that keeps up. And looking forward to a little bit of downtime and madness. And maybe the rhombus or parabola of terror will show itself like we speculated. Or, again, maybe none of that will happen based on various factors.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Once again, they are running out of time. But I feel like since we're leading up to the whole thing of, Ren's identity becoming public, the fact that she's 17 will likely come out here pretty soon, and that'll probably lead to Sawatari being interested in her, because the whole thing is he's not really interested in the Angels because according to their public profiles, they're all over 17.
Yep.
But Angel 7 doesn't have a public profile.
Yep. So either way, it'll be what it is. So yeah. We still got, obviously, most of the season left, but this first bit here was done very well, and looking forward to a little bit of downtime. Everybody's going on summer vacation. 40 days till the next race. So, again, it'll probably be bare minimum 2 or 3 episodes before we get back into the racing stuff. Maybe even longer. Who knows if they want to go into more of the family stuff or what have you. So, we'll just have to see. But as for the racing stuff, everything was spot on. I didn't have to explain very much, if anything. Again, just kind of reiterate and reinforce everything that they said was 100% correct, and that's about it. You got anything else, Age? Because at this point, I've given all that I can. I'm probably going to just bass keyboard right after we're done here.
Yeah, I keep getting freaking Mommy and Moe confused as to which one has like got the crush on Kanata. Yeah, it's Mommy. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't try to pull some shenanigans there by having her try to force her way into being the one, but apparently, drawing a blank on her name, Kyoko, pulled strings.
Right. So, once again, too many M names. Can't cope with it. Not doing it. So, ladies and gentlemen, people YouTube beyond ever watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. This was MF Ghost, Season 3, Episode 4. So, have a good morning, evening, afternoon. Whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.